So question number 131. You have Microsoft 365 E5 subscription that contain 100 Windows 10 devices enrolled in Microsoft Intune. You need to create endpoint security policies to meet the following requirements. Hide the firewall and network protection area in the Windows Security app. Disable the provisioning of Windows Hello for Business on the devices. Which two policy types should you use? So remember, we have done this in the labs. If you go to your labs, you can do this. We have this lab in MD1, no, MS102. So you can do these settings in these are the options you have been given. Device conditional access policy, antivirus. Okay, so which two policy types should you use? So you can perform these settings in antivirus and in not disk encryption is not relative. Firewall sounds to be relative, but it's not relative as well. Endpoint detection and response is not relative. Attack surface reduction is not relative. Account protection is relative. Device compliance and conditional access, um, these are completely irrelative. So we are left with antivirus, firewall, and account protection. So like I said, firewall, you can't configure these settings in firewall as well. um, so let me show you where can you configure these settings. I'm adding a note here, and if you go for network, for this one, hide the firewall and network protection area in the Windows Security app. So network UI, sorry, you can go here, in endpoint security, go to antivirus, create a policy, then choose Windows 10 or 11, and server Windows security experience, create disable unit disable network UI enabled. Okay, and endpoint security, you can also disable a, what do you call it, block Windows Hello for Business. So this is enabled, you can disable it there. So go and test these settings by your own. So the two options we have to choose is antivirus and account protection. 132. So okay, so you have 100 devices enrolled in Intune, and you need to review the startup process and how often each device restarts. So what should you use? Endpoint analytics, device management, Azure monitor, and Intune data warehouse. So we have done this, I think, many times before. You can do this in endpoint analytics. Endpoint analytics gave you the performance of endpoint of end user end devices like PCs, laptops, mobile devices. You can review the startup process and performance, everything in endpoint analytics. So option A is the correct one, not option D. Question number 133. You have a Microsoft 365 subscription that contains devices enrolled in Intune. Okay, so you need to create an endpoint security policy to enforce the following requirements. So these are the requirements that you need to create in the endpoint security policy. So the first one is computer that run macOS must have file vault enabled. Um, then computers that run Windows 10 must have Microsoft Defender Credential Guard enabled, and computers that run Windows 10 must also have the Microsoft Defender Application Control enabled. Now, we done this before, not the same, but there were some. There was a question in which these options were given. So, which endpoint security feature should you use for each requirement? So you have there these three options, these three that are given in the boxes. Now you have to choose from the appropriate one from this one and just put here. So it's like a drag and drop question. So computer that run Mac OS must have firewall enabled. So computers that run Mac OS must have um, yes, computer that runs Mac OS must have firewall enabled. Firewall is the same as um, a BitLocker encryption in Windows. So firewall is used for macOS devices. So now you can guess which one is it. So that is disk encryption. You can do that in disk encryption. So here the option would come disk encryption for the first one. So I have added these notes. If you see for the first one, computer that runs Windows 10 must have Microsoft Defender Credential Guard enabled. So Microsoft Defender Credential Guard can be done in attack surface reduction. We explained attack surface reduction before, which helps to minimize vulnerabilities and restricting or blocking specific behaviors, such as preventing malicious scripts in executable forms launching, block suspicious process and behavior, control application execution and access. So all these things, they can be done in ASR, attack surface reduction. So computer that runs Windows 10 must have Microsoft Defender application control enabled. So application control can be done in attack surface reduction. And then we have computers that run Windows 10 must have Microsoft Defender credential guard enabled. So this is like mostly, for example, multi-factor authentication, conditional access, security questions and answers, account lockouts, all these things, and including this one, you can configure Microsoft Defender application control. These are all done in account protection. So account protection is the answer that goes here. So the first one is disk encryption. The second one is attack surface reduction, and the third one is account protection. Question number 134. Your company has 200 computers that run Windows 10. Computers are managed. Okay, so they're also enrolled in Intune. So currently Windows updates are downloaded without using delivery optimization. Remember I showed you in the previous videos delivery optimization. Where can you configure these settings? You need to configure the computers to use delivery optimization. What should you create in Intune? Um, So if you go to the previous videos, I have shown you there. When you go to Intune, you can do that in the device configuration profile. Under device configuration profile, um, you can select the template, and then you go there, check for the delivery optimization. Yeah, so the correct option is option C here. So question number 135 says that you have Microsoft 365 subscription that uses Microsoft Intune. You use Microsoft Intune to manage the devices. Auto enrollment in Intune is configured. That is the thing to note. You have hundred Windows 11 devices in a work group. You need to connect the devices to the corporate wireless network and enroll 100 new Windows 11 devices in Intune. Now you need to connect them to the corporate network, and you will also enroll them in Intune. So what should you do? Um, if you go, if we leave for the option A for a while. If you go to option B, it says a group policy object. If you create a group policy object but the devices are not yet domain joined, so if they're not domain joined, then how can you implement a group policy? Group policy cannot be implemented if they're not joined to domain yet. Okay, so option B is not applicable here. Option C says mobile device management, automatic enrollment. That could be an option, but again, it's not domain joined. And here, if you see, auto enrollment in Intune is configured. So if auto enrollment is configured, then we don't need to do mobile device management automatic enrollment, since it is already done. So that is not an option to apply. Then device configuration profile is again something um, like when once they are enrolled, and they are not enrolled yet. Once they are enrolled into Intune, then you can apply device configuration profile. So a provisioning package is the only option that we can do, and with the provisioning package, you can read these notes here. So a provisioning package is a container for a collection of configuration settings. With Windows client, you can create provisioning packages that let you quickly, efficiently configure devices without having to install a new image. Right. Now you can do the following things with provisioning package. Uh, you have to launch the configuration designer wizard, and there you can set up a device. So in the setup device, you can assign device name, enter product key to upgrade Windows, configure shared use, remove pre-installed software. We can also set up a network, which is connect to a Wi-Fi network, which is already being mentioned here. You need to connect the devices to the corporate wireless network, and you can do that in the provisioning package by provisioning package. Account management, enroll device in Active Directory, as well enroll devices in Microsoft Intra ID. So once they are enrolled in Microsoft Intra ID, that means that auto enrollment is configured, then they will be enrolled in Intune as well. So provisioning package is the best option, and that is the correct answer. Here they have said correct answer is C, but option C is not the correct answer, because we don't need to do the auto enrollment, since it is already done. It is already mentioned in the question that auto enrollment in Intune is configured, so you don't need to configure auto enrollment, and it won't even help you connecting the devices to wireless network and enroll in Intune. Question number 136 is very easy. We already discussed it many times, that it is asking if you enroll these two devices, on CL2 and on CL4, and so one of them, launch CL2, is registered, Azure AD registered, and launch CL4 is Azure AD joined. So MDM, Microsoft Intune, how will Intune classify each device after the devices are enrolled in Intune automatically? If they are enrolled automatically, so this is the answer area identified. Which device of these is identified as personal device? And we already mentioned many times before that personal devices can be registered, only they cannot be joined, because personal devices, we nobody wants the corporate administrators to fully control their devices, since we register those our device to the domain, and then they can have partial control, which means they can control certain applications which are provided by the company, not our full device. So if you see launch CL2 is Azure AD registered, and that is so Intune will identify this device as a personal device. So here you will say launch CL2 only is identified by Intune as personal device, while corporate device identified by Intune as corporate device. Which one of these will be identified as corporate device? So you see, you have Launch 4, which is Azure AD joined, and I told you corporate devices can be joined, they can be registered and joined. So the Launch 4 only is identified as corporate device. These are the two options that has been selected here as well. Question number 137. You have Microsoft 365 subscription that use Microsoft Intune. Okay, all devices are enrolled in Intune, and all devices are in the same time zone, right? You can you create an update ring policy and assign the policy to all Windows devices. On November 1, you pass the update rings policy. All devices remain online without further modifications without further modification to the policy. On which date will the devices next attempt to update? Now, and this is something about pausing. When you pause the updates in I believe in Active Directory on local devices, when we pass the update states for the future updates, I think it's 30 days, but here it's 35 days. You can, when you pause the update, so it will be extended to 35 days, it will be delayed to 35 days. After 35 days, it will again attempt to download and install the updates. Here you can see these are the update rings policy. So select pass to prevent assigned devices from receiving features or quality updates for up to 35 days from the time you pass the ring. After the maximum days have passed, pause functionality automatically expires and the device can Windows updates for applicable updates. Following this scan, you can pause the updates again. If you resume a pause update ring and then pause that ring again, the pause period resets to 35 days. So that means if the next day, for example, you pass the update today and you come again tomorrow, you resume the updates, and then on the same day you pause it again, so it will then start counting from tomorrow again for 35 days. That means you will reset the 35 days delay. So basically when you pause it, when you pass the update, so it will not attempt to download updates for 35 days. And 35 days, it comes, if you count it, it comes at December 6th, because on November 1 you pass the updates. So December 1 is 1 month, which could be 30 days. And then the next option is after then 5 days more, when you count 5 days more, so that comes December 6th. So December 6th is the correct option here. Question number 138. So you have the following devices, and the operating system is given. What device 1 and 2 has Windows operating system, device 3 has Android, and device 4 is iOS, and all are enrolled in Microsoft Intune. So all devices have Microsoft Edge installed. All devices they support. You can install Microsoft Edge on your Android or on your iOS device, and even in Windows we already using Microsoft Edge. So from the Microsoft Intune Admin Center, you create a Microsoft Edge baseline profile named Edge 1. Now, baseline is a security baseline profile is a Microsoft and Microsoft is a tool for managing and enforcing security settings on your devices, primarily Windows endpoint enrolled in Microsoft Intune. It essentially a pre-configured set of security policies based on Microsoft recommendations and industry best practices, helping you achieve a secure baseline configuration. Since you are deploying Microsoft Edge, you need to apply Edge 1 to all supported devices, and you need to create a Microsoft Edge baseline profile. So to which devices should you apply Edge? So like I said, all the devices they support, you can install Microsoft Edge on all these devices, but the thing here is the Microsoft Edge baseline profile is only supported by Windows devices, not by Android devices. If you go further in these notes, I have explained here, Microsoft Edge security baselines are currently only supported on Windows platforms. This means that you can leverage them to configure and enforce security settings for Microsoft on Windows devices enrolled in Microsoft Intune, including desktop, laptops, and tablets. Here again, while Microsoft Edge is available on other platforms like Android, iOS, security baseline specifically through Intune currently don't extend to those operating systems. Now that is the thing, that this is, you are creating a security baseline for Microsoft Edge, and you cannot implement that. You can't apply that security baseline to Android and iOS. You can only apply it to Windows devices. So which devices are device 1 and device 2 are Windows devices, so you can choose the option B, device 1 and device 2 only. Question number 139. So again, you have some Microsoft devices, and you plan to manage Windows updates by using Intune. So it is about a Windows update ring, and you create an update ring for Windows 10 and later, and configure the user experience setting for the ring as shown. So these are the settings that you have done. If you take a look, automatic behavior, is auto install at maintenance time and active hours. These are the active hours, which starting active hours and ending active hours, which is from 8 in the morning and 5 in the evening. Now restart checks allow option to pause updates, allow options to check for Windows updates enabled. Now change notification update level, system default, and use deadline yes allow. So you are using a the deadline settings as well. So deadline for feature updates is 5. That means you can postpone for 5 days. The feature updates you can postpone for 5 days, and you can postpone the quality updates to 2 days, and grace period is 1 day. After auto reboot before deadline, no. So before deadline, it will not be rebooted, restarted. The systems will not be restarted automatically, but after the deadline the systems will restart automatically. Okay, now you need to use the drop down menu. These are the options that you have been given. Automatic restarts, you have to choose from one. So automatic restarts are blocked before 8 a.m., between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., or after 5 p.m. Now you should know that active hours means that in this time, in this period from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., these are our active hours. And in active hours, during our active hours, we work for organizations, and they don't want to interrupt our work. For example, you are writing a document or something, and you are in an important you are doing completing an important task, and if your system automatically restarts, and maybe the updates will take an hour or two, it depends on the updates, so it will um, hinder your whole work, right? So that is why we define active hours. And during active hours, even if updates are pending, not installed, or the deadline is over, during active hours our system will not restart. It will not automatically restart. So 8 a.m., 5 p.m. So obviously automatic restarts are blocked between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. After 5 p.m. the system might restart. um, if the deadline is over, it will restart. The second option is a restart will be enforced on a device after the deadline. Now it says 2 days and 5 days. Now these are the automatic restart will not happen after 2 days or after 5 days. It depends on the grace period you have given. The grace period, we discussed the grace periods in the previous questions. So grace period is the day, or the number of days that after, if the grace period is over, then your system will restart. So that is 1 day. And so a restart will be enforced on a device after 1 day after the deadline. So here is 1 day. um, yeah, 5 days is not the correct answer. It's 1 day. Question number 140. You have Microsoft 365 tenant. uh, you have devices enrolled in Intune. You assign a conditional access policy named Policy 1 to a group named Group 1. Policy 1 restricts devices marked as non-compliant from accessing Microsoft OneDrive for Business. You need to identify which non-compliant devices attempt to access OneDrive for Business. Alright, so you have set a conditional policy, and the conditional policy is that if the device is non-compliant, then he will not be able to access my OneDrive for Business. Uh, so you can check, you now you want to check, you want to see the report which devices tried to sign in to access OneDrive for Business, which were non-compliant. So what should you do? That means where can you identify these devices? So option A is from the Microsoft Intra Admin Center. Review the conditional access insights in reporting workbook. Option B is from the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. Review the device compliance report. Now that is something you have to do uh, manually. I don't think that that is a good answer to do, and also I think you can't do this in Intune as well. From Microsoft Intune Admin Center, review the non-compliant device report. Now you don't know which device maybe, so you need only the devices that will automatically comes out that this device, for example, had was non-compliant. This certain device was not compliant and tried to access OneDrive for Business, while in this case you will have to check manually each device, so that is not an option to choose either. Now option D is from the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. Review the setting compliance report. Now setting compliance report, if you review it, just by reviewing setting compliance report, it won't help you achieve the goal. So if you read these notes here, so the conditionals, sorry about that, the conditional access insights in reporting workbook enables you to understand the impact of conditional access policies in your organization over time. Now, during sign-in, one or more conditional policies may apply, right? You see this, during sign-in, one or more conditional access may apply, granting access if certain grant controls are satisfied or denied access otherwise. Because multiple conditional access policies may be evaluated during each sign-in. The Insights and Reporting Workbook lets you examine the impact of individual policy or a subset of all policy. So that is why option A is is the more appropriate one. You can find out the report of a single policy or a subset of policies, where you can find out that which devices tried to attempted to sign in OneDrive for Business. So option A is the correct one, not option C.